Oh, that just makes me right. Hello everybody, my name's Eva and I'm currently on a Kickstart placement with Regenda and TLF. So I'm going to be hosting this call today. Our guest is Billy Salmon, who works for Liverpool Recruitment Company. Just a quick thing before we start as well, the session is going to be recorded, so if you want to watch it again, it'll be on our YouTube channel, or if you know anybody who missed out today, guys, who missed out today, you can rewatch it, as I said, on the YouTube channel. If you could also mute your mics so there's as less background noise as possible, that would be great. And at the end of the session as well, there will be a chance to ask any questions. If you feel comfortable enough, you can take yourselves off mute, but if not, you can just type it in the little box below and I can read it out for you. So without further ado, Billy, take it away.
Okay. So I'll start off by saying this is the first time I've done anything like this, so bear with me. But to be honest with you, it's I like throwing myself in the deep end sometimes. So I'll start off introducing myself. My name is Billy Salmon. I work as an operations manager for a group of businesses based on Castle Street in the Liverpool City Centre called Domain 2, a Liverpool Recruitment Company and Focused Construction. So I'll stick to the questions. Where do we come from? Originally I was born in Kirkdale. Went to school in Kirkdale till I was about 9-10 years old, and then moved up to Litherland, where I'm still living. So obviously, bit of a stretched childhood. Went from Kirkdale to Litherland, 2 different schools, and then obviously ended up going from school, finished school, went through sixth form, went through university, didn't actually finish university. But I done all my GCSEs, got good marks in the GCSEs, went on and done A-levels in maths, physics, chemistry and biology. Passed them all. Got into university at John Moores through a clearing programme, which at the time was a nightmare, and I ended up going onto a course that I just didn't really want to do. I ended up doing mechanical engineering, which is now I realise I probably should have stuck it out. It would have been a good standing point and I would have been able to come out with a degree, but at the time it just weren't for me. Didn't enjoy it, didn't like the course, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. So I'm assuming there's quite a few people like that in the world who end up falling into jobs in different professions and things that they didn't really expect to go into. So before I actually got this job, my first job was probably had about 10 or 15 different jobs, part-time and full-time. And I worked in an Indian restaurant on Stanley Street. That was my very, very first job. Also worked in a timber yard. I've worked in another recruitment company. I've worked in call centres. Pretty much bounced around from the time I was 18 to 21, just from different companies for 3-4 months at a time, just trying to figure out what it was I was actually wanting to do and what I was good at. And then actually I sort of stumbled into recruitment. I didn't actually know what it was. I didn't understand what the need for it was, and didn't understand what a recruitment company actually did at one point. So ended up starting working for a different company called One Way Resourcing. And that was in Liverpool. I worked there as entry level, bottom of the ladder, as a recruiting resource, which is basically speaking to different candidates throughout the course of the day and trying to match them to the perfect job roles that salespeople in the office would get in. In the end, I ended up working there for about 12 months before I decided it probably wasn't for me, and I think it was ran its course in terms of I didn't want to be doing that particular job no more, and there wasn't any opportunities for me to progress and move up. So I actually found this job. As soon as I left the last job, I found this job about a month later. Started again I started in a sales role. I had sales background with working in call centres and working door-to-door selling as well, which obviously built my confidence up to obviously be able to approach people and speak to people and sell to people. So moved into this company as a salesperson and recruitment consultant, and I had to start from scratch. I developed my own desk, developed my own group of companies that I worked with, clients, new businesses that I got on board and actually dealt with day to day, made sure that we found the right people for them. Bit of an introduction about our company. What we do is all construction recruitment. So it's dealing with construction sites across the country. We're just based in Liverpool. We've got an office down in London too, where we work out of sometimes to obviously get on board with different clients in and around the country and different jobs as well, big jobs. So that's sort of how I managed to get myself into this job. And then from there, I've obviously worked my way up and progressed. And now I'm running a team of 10 people, which consists of salespeople, consists of admin, it consists of support staff. And to be honest with you, it's a good team of people that we've got right now, and we're just trying to build up from there. So again, the part and parcel why we're coming into here, we're growing as a business, and I'm trying to give an insight into what we're doing and what we're looking at. We're trying to bring in the right type of people, the right quality of people, and we're in the middle of trying to bring in about 12 new recruits at the moment at all levels. So sorry if I'm sweating. Well, this room's like a sauna today, and I don't know why. So typical day in work. Nowadays, for me, there's a lot of meetings involved. There's a lot of talking to people, a lot of supporting people with different issues and problems they're having, and going through different just work, a lot of problem solving, I'd say. And I'd say from my A levels and the degree I've done, I've developed quite a few problem solving skills where I can sit and work through problems and figure out what the best solution is, and obviously pass that message on and sell that message to people, because you've got to get buy-in on those sort of things. So typical day for me now is basically I walk in, we do a daily meeting, we get the team together, we make sure we all know what we're doing for the day, we set out the day, plan it out, 15 minutes, and then everyone sort of has their own individual targets and their own expectations from me and the company of where we want to go. We're all very, very driven. We know what we want out of life, we know how we're going to get there. And that's probably about as much as I can say on that. But as a consultant, the day normally consists of picking the phone up, lead generation, finding out what sites need men, who we need to speak to. I say men, women as well, sorry. But finding out those things, actually going out, speaking to people, learning about what's going on in the world, what's going on in Liverpool, where we can pick different jobs up, where our money's coming from, where we can pick things up. So in effect, in layman's terms, my job is genuinely, we get paid for talking to people and building relationships, which now looking back, I've always been pretty good at. So it's always been, I'm actually not shocked that I've ended up doing recruitment for a living. So the difference my job makes, in effect, I think sometimes we get times with a bit of a bad name as a recruitment company, but in effect, we get people work, and that is the main goal for us. The main goal isn't money, it's not driving profit, it's not driving results, and this is why I'm involved with Thrive, it's why I'm involved with working with prisons and making sure we get people from all different walks of life and different backgrounds and different circumstances back into the world of work. And obviously, even if it's the first job that they have, we do what we can to try and make sure that we can find people work and get them sorted. So that's the difference my job makes. I think probably the most I can say on that one, but yeah, we find people work, and especially now with COVID, after people being on furlough and loads of people losing their jobs, there's been an influx of people coming to us now to actually find new work and new roles and get things, get themselves back on their feet, really. So challenging people. I think dealing with people is probably the most challenging part of my job. It's probably the most fun part of my job as well. I think everyone's different. Every company, every person, every client, every candidate has their own different needs and wants and what they need to get from a job and what the client needs to have in the job. And it's finding that balance and matching the people to the right jobs that is challenging, but it's also fun as well. And it takes time, it takes effort, and it takes a lot of energy to get it right. But once you start getting it right, it seems to flow. So what do I love about my work? I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. I love helping people get back into work. I like dealing with, I just like, again, people. I like talking to people. So that's that one. What advice would you give to any young people? I think the biggest chunk of advice was that I could give to anyone would be find out what you want to do. Getting into recruitment, if you want to get into recruitment, research it, figure out if it's for you. It's sometimes it can be long hours, it can be stressful days, it can be having some conversations that you don't really want to have, and it's a lot of it is just learning on the job and thinking on your feet. But the rewards you get out of it are genuinely worth it. I think the amount of people over the last 5 or 6 years that we've actually got into work and found jobs so they can go and pay the bills, they can go on holiday, they can go and give themselves a little bit of security, financial security, I think is reward enough for the work and effort that we put in. And obviously the profit that comes out of the back of it for the business is just a byproduct really of actually helping people and supporting people get back into the workplace. So I think people getting into the industry is apply for jobs, speak to people, try and find out if there's any companies hiring. Again, we're hiring. So if there are any roles that you're interested in or you want to do, come and speak to me about certain roles or certain things that you're looking to do, then you can by all means take my number, take my contact details, and we can arrange interviews and speak to you about it. We're not really interested in people who are experienced in this sector. What we're building our business on and our culture on is actually working with people who want to work with us, the right attitude, the right mindsets, the right work ethic, and the right reasons to want to work here. Because we've worked with loads of people in the past and it's not quite worked out for different reasons, and it's normally because the direction they want to go in isn't the direction that we want to go in. And we're growing, we want to become one of the biggest companies in the recruitment industry. And to do that, I think we need to find the right culture and obviously base that on helping people and supporting people get back into the workplace. So again, I could probably talk for a lot longer, but I think if anyone's got any questions they want to ask or...
Yeah, I mean, I can start it off, but again, if anybody's got any questions, you can pop it in the chat below and I can read it out for you if you don't feel comfortable enough to come off mute. But being one, so what, like, obviously because you recruit and like put people towards jobs and things, what would you say young people can do almost to get themselves into like a really good position to have like a really good chance at being hired for like so many different jobs?
I think the three main aspects, especially in construction and across the globe, you need to be reliable. You need to have a sense of loyalty to the people that you're working for, and you need to be able to just show the value that you can offer to a company. I think sometimes, from where we come from, a lot of the time CVs don't really have a massive effect on, especially the industry I'm working in at the moment. CVs, a lot of tradespeople don't really carry CVs; they just wear them off and move around. But different industries, they are very effective in getting some good jobs. So even approaching a CV writer or working with a company like ourselves, where we can give CV advice and tips and sort of guide you towards creating the best possible CV or the best possible resume, or just give some sort of guidance and advice towards getting into work, then that's probably the best way to do it. But I think in order to get into a good position and to obviously be considered for some of these roles, I think it's key just to be able to sell yourself, be able to be confident about your abilities and what value you can add, and be able to know what value you can add to that company. And I think obviously once you get those three things down, it's quite hard to say no to someone in an interview if they can sell that to you. So
always. And like, do you have any advice for anybody who's almost struggling to get a job and kind of like giving up along the way type of thing?
My advice for that one would be don't give up. I think there's plenty of schemes and initiatives, especially in the wake of the pandemic and everything that's been going on for the last 18 months. I think there's plenty of schemes that have popped up, such as Thrive and other learning foundations about the new company, that are always there on hand to support and help and guide people back into the world of work. Yesterday I was in, just a short story, I was in Thrive yesterday. I'd done the construction hub. So as a company, we go to them, and there's young people who go to Thrive who are interested in getting into construction, actually on-site working, which is something that we actually deal with as a company rather than internally. And since going to them, we've already started one person and potentially have a couple of jobs lined up for a couple of other people as well directly from those meetings. So those things, I know obviously sometimes you might think it might be a little bit far-fetched, that's anything's going to come out of it, but if you put yourself in those positions and you keep putting yourself in those positions, then that's when you can start seeing a return on it. So if you are struggling, if you can't find work, then I just say don't give up. Keep applying for jobs. Keep calling people. Put yourself in front of people, and do whatever it takes just to get back into work.
Okay, fab. And how's like the pandemic actually affected you guys? Has it affected you?
Yeah, at the start of the first lockdown, obviously no one really knew what was happening. It was all new to everyone. So on building sites, obviously there was that directive, which was build. Construction sites were to stay open. There was a lot of controversy behind it. We took a business decision just to, right, okay, well, we're not going to take any more new business on. Just let's see how it pans out. We kept everything that we had going. Nothing changed. We just made sure everyone was paid, made sure all the jobs that we had on would still ahead, but we didn't actually go out and venture out to try and find new business. We spent that time actually while working from home, working on the business and developing some of our processes and developing some other things to make life a little bit better and life a little bit easier working for us, which I think put us in good stead then. I think in terms of results wise, we obviously didn't do as well as we forecasted and as well as we wanted to, but we count ourselves lucky for the fact that we didn't physically have to close the shutters and shut up shop and there was nothing coming in. Based on casualties, we've seen it from May last year when I first started coming back into the office till now. The changes on Castle Street from when we turned up, where there was tumbleweeds rolling down the street, till now where it's heaving. There's people out on the streets, meals, all the restaurants, the bars are open. We've seen a change right the way through from the start to now. And it's obviously sad looking at the restaurants who've had to close for so long and the bars that haven't been able to serve their customers for so long. So obviously we count ourselves quite lucky in the fact that we actually carried on going. It gave a lot of us as well in the office and at home that stability to actually, and that routine just to keep our minds stable throughout the whole time. So again, that's where we've been at.